now through March 29th.
You're gonna love it.
Get a $2,000 rebate when you purchase a Super Good Sense energy-efficient manufactured home. This is Ann Robbins
and Bonnie Torno inviting you to Central Homes, where for as little as $272 per month, you can be living in a brand new spacious home, building equity and enjoying the tax advantage of home ownership.
Central Homes, homes with a heart.
Dial 981-3141.
He claimed to be the Ski Top's hottest bachelor, but he was a fugitive from the law.
Super Tuesday Showdown is in the final hours. Bill Clinton and Paul Tsongas make Florida their big battleground.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw, reporting tonight from NBC News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. This is the eve of the big one, Super Tuesday. 11 states for the Democrats, and in both parties, more than a third of the delegates needed to win the nomination. And 2 of the states are pivotal to the fall campaign, Florida and Texas. President Bush is predicting a sweep for the Republicans. Bill Clinton is expected to win big for the Democrats, but Paul Tsongas and Jerry Brown will stay alive. And Tom Harkin tonight is gone. As he pulled out today, the Iowa senator offered to help whomever.
And so, my fellow Democrats, I say to whomever our nominee is, that I'll be there, that I'll pay any price, bear any burden, learn to speak Greek. Develop a Southern accent. Or learn to wear a turtleneck.
NBC's Andrea Mitchell is keeping track of what is now a 3-man Democratic race. Andrea, how's it shaping up?
Well, Tom, it's a mad rush today, not only for the delegate bonanza, but also for Tom Harkin's disappointed labor supporters.
Showing his Super Tuesday priorities, Bill Clinton ignored the Boston Red Sox at spring training in Florida and donned a Houston Astros cap. Texas is much more important to him than Massachusetts, which he's conceding to Paul Tsongas.
But we both deal with fastballs and curves.
Since we're doing baseball.
What about yeah, well, that's true, but I'm afraid if I got into that, I would really put myself in trouble in a hurry.
Tsongas was also in Florida, battling Clinton's big advantage in organization.
Tomorrow's going to be very important. Tomorrow in Florida is going to be a message. The choice is very clear between a machine and a message.
11 states have caucuses or primaries tomorrow. Clinton is expected to sweep the South and Southwest. Tsongas will likely win Massachusetts and neighboring Rhode Island. The only real contest is in Florida, where Tsongas and Clinton are playing to every ethnic minority. Targeting Jewish voters, Clinton has been blanketing Miami's condos with pamphlets criticizing Tsongas for voting as a senator to send aid to Syria. Furious, Tsongas points out that all the Jewish senators and Israel supporters voted the same way as part of a peace initiative.
If Bill Clinton's going to run a campaign with this approach, he's going to be president with this approach.
Meanwhile, Harkin's withdrawal from the race leaves labor up for grabs. Clinton will benefit most, but he's from a right-to-work state. Some labor leaders distrust him. Jerry Brown is trying to overcome labor doubts about him.
I expect to be meeting with major labor leaders throughout the country, and I'm going to get a lot of their support.
The one candidate with no labor support is Tsongas. In fact, labor could try to block all of these candidates.
To see that none of those 3 candidates got enough delegates the first round, and so that a separate candidate could in fact become the nominee.
Labor's on the sidelines in tomorrow's voting, but it is a big factor next week in Illinois and Michigan, which is not good news for Paul Tsongas. Tom?
Thank you, Andrea. And if Bill Clinton does as well as he says he will tomorrow, what about Paul Tsongas? Where does he build a fire break down the road?
He tries to do well in Illinois next week and in Michigan. Then, if he doesn't do well there, he's in serious trouble, but could still look toward the New York primary and then Pennsylvania down the road. He can discount tomorrow's voting because he can say it's the South, it's Clinton's home turf.
Still a big prize, however.
Exactly, a big delegate prize.
All right, NBC's John Cochran now is at the White House tonight, where today the president said his strategy is to act, not react. John, give us a translation of that.
Tom, even at this late date, the president is still trying to appear unruffled by the Buchanan challenge. Today, the president was bragging about his South Carolina win, even though once again, 1 in 3 voters said no to George Bush.
I thought Saturday was fantastic, and I think we'll have a good day tomorrow.
But Bush's aides are worried that he lacks a forceful message. No such problem for Pat Buchanan.
The president has lost his clout with the Congress. He is not feared.
And Bush can't seem to buy a favorable news story because of the widespread belief that he really meant it when he told David Frost,
I will do what I have to do to be reelected.
Case in point, on Saturday, Bush took part in a fishing tournament in Alabama, which does not hold its primary until June. But the Montgomery Advertiser-Journal insisted the trip was political anyway because fishing is an activity dear to hearts of swing voters, the Reagan Democrats. But today, Bush insisted critics don't bother him.
Don't get irritated. Be pleasant.
And he couldn't have been more pleasant today when he spoke to officials from the National League of Cities. But they wanted some hard-nosed economic solutions. Instead, they got a chat on family values.
Family breakdown ultimately endangers our position in a world increasingly driven by economic competition.
I think there needs to be a more energetic approach to the way he gets his message across.
I think for many of the delegates, it may not have been a complete message.
But tonight, aides tell NBC News that President Bush is considering a new strategy. He would still go ahead with his veto of the Democratic tax plan this month as expected. But instead of just bashing Congress, he would consider small changes in his own economic package. He would then resubmit that to Congress and try to sell this to the country. He would say, this is what leadership is all about. Tom?
John, let's talk about Super Tuesday for just a moment. Does the president expect tomorrow that he'll continue to get that 30% protest vote against him even if he has a clean sweep?
He does indeed, and they're also worried about Michigan and Illinois in the following week. They don't think this thing is going to be over tomorrow night, Tom. However, they do feel confident enough they will probably send Dan Quayle out here at Bush Quayle headquarters tomorrow night to claim a victory of sorts.
All right, thank you very much. John Cochran tonight. And the drive by states for limiting terms of elected officials, well, it got a big boost today from the U.S. Supreme Court. The court let stand a California ruling that those term limits are constitutional in California. When Nightly News continues in a moment, the Surgeon General and Camel cigarettes, the showdown over kids and smoking. And tonight's Daily Difference, the new single mothers. Betty Rowland reports on older women who are certain they want children.
Know where I am? I'm at one of the finest resorts in the world. And if you're looking for a great vacation value, look no more. All your daytime fun, all your nighttime entertainment, and all your food is included in one low price. But what makes this resort really great is that it takes you to some of the world's other great vacation spots. In the morning, in the evening, Carnival's got the fun.
Fun. That's what makes Carnival the most popular cruise line in the world.
Call me a trendsetter, but I was eating wheat thins before people knew why they were baked and not fried. Now everybody knows who needs a greasy chip, right? Besides, wheat thins are delicious. Delicious is still in, isn't it?
Which do you think will put potassium into your body faster? The banana or the California prune? Go.
Sweet, delicious California prunes. Find out how good they really are.
His name is Old Joe, and millions of children have come to know him. But today, the U.S. Surgeon General and the American Medical Association declared war on Old Joe. That's because he's the advertising symbol of Camel cigarettes. More now from NBC's Robin Lloyd.
The Surgeon General has urged all billboard companies featuring the cartoon character to refuse all ads. Magazines are being asked to do the same. Even retail outlets are part of the Surgeon General's campaign against R.J. Reynolds and its cartoon camel.
In years past, R.J. Reynolds would have had us walk a mile for a camel. Today, it is time that we invite Old Joe Camel himself to take a hike.
Officials at R.J. Reynolds say their campaign is aimed at smokers in their 20s to give Camel cigarettes a new, younger look. But the Surgeon General says the tobacco company is targeting children. She cited a study which showed that 90% of 6-year-olds matched Old Joe with a picture of a cigarette and were as familiar with his face as they were with Mickey Mouse.
Once I saw him on a billboard, and sometimes I see him on when my mom buys cigarettes.
American Medical Association statistics show that kids are starting to smoke at a younger age, and that nearly a third of all teenage smokers have now switched to Camels.
We are creating a whole generation of potential nicotine addicts by this advertising.
But R.J. Reynolds said today it's peer pressure, not advertising, that is causing young people to smoke. And the tobacco company says it has no intention of retiring Old Joe and the new image he projects to a new generation of smokers. Robin Lloyd, NBC News, Washington. Another issue facing this generation, global warming. Winter in this country this year has been the warmest on record. A showdown on the warming of the planet could come at the United Nations Environmental Summit this summer, and the United States is at odds on this issue with most of the rest of the world. NBC's chief science correspondent Robert Bazell tonight on the science and the politics of global warming, what we know so far. Robert?
Tom, global warming is an extraordinarily important but difficult topic. The science of making the predictions is imprecise, but the consequences of warming could be catastrophic.
Sunbathers in New York's Central Park today enjoyed extremely warm weather. At the same time, Colorado dug out of an enormous snowfall. Weather is often unusual, and no one day, month, or year indicates a trend. But all sorts of precise scientific observations, including studies of ancient glaciers, reveal that most of the Earth is getting warmer. The big question is whether the temperature change is due to natural trends or is the result of the greenhouse effect, a warming of the Earth from increased carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. The carbon dioxide comes from the burning of gasoline, coal, and other fossil fuels. At the UN, most nations want a treaty to reduce emissions. So far, the Bush administration has not indicated whether it will go along, saying more research is needed.
And without that comprehensive approach, we simply won't come to grips with the problem to the degree that science proves it to be a problem.
But even U.S. government scientists say they will never have all the answers.
Given the rate of advance of our firm and fully complete understanding of the climate system, by the time we have every last I dotted and T crossed, the whole issue will be over, because presumably, if the models are right, the warming will have already happened.
And if the warming does continue, studies by the World Wildlife Fund have already shown that rising sea levels are killing mangrove trees in Bermuda. Indeed, Bermuda and many other island nations face an uncertain future if sea levels continue to rise. And computer models of climate indicate that many areas of the world could face drought if the climate continues to warm.
But these models cannot be precise. And many people in the administration agree with oil and coal companies that we still don't have enough information to make a massive change in energy policy. Tom?
What about that big global warming conference in Rio scheduled for this June? What about the politics of the season and the decision of the Bush administration?
Well, right now, the environmentalists say that as long as Bush is running against Buchanan, he's not going to do much on global warming, because global warming means $1 trillion change possibly in our economy and possibly a lot of loss of profits for gas and oil companies. It might be different if he's running against a Democrat in the fall.
Thank you very much, Robert Bazell, tonight. And remember Michael Milken, the king of the junk bonds, still is serving that 10-year prison term. But today, a federal judge in New York approved a settlement of all lawsuits against Milken and other associates of Drexel Burnham Lambert, his old securities company. The amount of that settlement that they'll have to pay, $1.3 billion. On Wall Street today, stocks were down slightly, trading today light.
Where do you want to be in 5 years?
I had an old Studebaker truck and $300 when I started this company. In a few years, my sons will be ready to take over, and then I'd like to... I never told anybody this. I want to live in Paris and go to cooking school. Hey, that's what I want to do. Will I have the money to do it?
You can get there from here with Shearson Lehman Brothers.
I saw my doctor because the pain was so bad. I was afraid I needed surgery for my hemorrhoids. I was itching. The burning was awful. But my doctor said my hemorrhoids weren't serious. I didn't need surgery. He told me it was time I started using Preparation H.
Preparation H helps shrink swelling of inflamed hemorrhoidal tissues and often brings relief from pain, itching, and burning for hours.
What a difference Preparation H makes.
Doctor recommended Preparation H.
You're about to see how Goodyear is changing all-season driving right before your eyes. Introducing AquaTread, only from Goodyear. AquaTread's advanced design channels water out of your way for dependable all-season traction, especially in the rain when you may need it most. AquaTread, the newest reason why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
Tonight's Daily Difference in the 90s. When we think of an unwed mother, we usually think of someone who is young and perhaps irresponsible. Well, now that definition is changing to include women who are not so young and yet they are very responsible. NBC's Betty Rowland.
By about 35, I knew that I definitely wanted to have a child, and I wasn't convinced that I would meet the man of my dreams with whom to have this child.
And so Jane Gutman, at the age of 40, became pregnant by a man she did not plan to marry.
I felt absolutely compelled to have a child, as though my life would not be fulfilled if I didn't have a child.
Her mother's reaction?
When she first told me, I sort of gasped, and I thought, oh my goodness. It's just weird.
But last November, when Jake was born, parental shock gave way to grandparental love.
Oh, is that sweet? Look at that. Isn't he adorable?
One of the reasons for this happy scene is that what Jane has chosen to do is no longer so unusual or unacceptable. Even one of America's best-loved sitcom stars is doing it.
I'm pregnant.
It's a medical miracle.
It's neither a miracle nor a novelty. In the past 10 years, the birth rate among unmarried American women over 35 has risen by 55%. Fertility clinics report that many of these women are choosing insemination by anonymous donors. There's even a national support group, Single Mothers by Choice. This chapter in Alexandria, Virginia, meets once a month. Like Jane Gutman, these are college-educated, self-supporting women whose biological clocks were about to sound the alarm. For Cindy, the question was not whether to get pregnant, but how.
I could have a child by adoption. It was too difficult. I could have a child with a man and either tell him or not tell him, and I felt that that would be very selfish. So I finally decided that donor insemination was my only option.
Alice also was inseminated, and like many of these women, has not ruled out marriage. Motherhood alone can be lonely.
When he was really little, the hardest part was not having anyone else who loved him as much as I do. No one else to sort of share the really wonderful things with.
Like the other mothers, Alice has been honest with her son about his origins.
He tells me the story of how he got me, but with no daddy.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think about that?
I think it's kind of sad that I don't know daddy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You love your mommy, I guess.
Yes.
Studies show that the absence of a father can be especially hard on boys, particularly when they reach adolescence.
Father absence is associated with problems in sexual identity and sexual orientation, problems in impulse control, and diminished intellectual and school performance.
Yet Dr. Ross and many other experts agree that one loving parent is more than many children have these days, and that a lot of the child's healthy development depends on the individual mother's attitude toward men and the presence of male surrogates.
Mr. Jakey?
Jane Gutman is aware of the perils of her choice, but feels up to the challenge.
I wish it were different. I didn't want to have a child by myself, but I'm really glad I had a child.
Betty Rowland, NBC News.
Tomorrow's Daily Difference, Decision 92. I'll introduce you to some black college students on Super Tuesday. Who speaks for them? What are their presidential hopes?
Paradise surrounds me. There's no place like this on land. All my cares, they're behind me. The world's in my command.
One cruise line has been named best in passenger satisfaction 10 years in a row. Royal Caribbean, the grand resorts of the seven seas.
Hot coffee and steak in front of strangers at 30,000 feet? Not till I switched. Now I fix it and forget it.
That's good. When people are watching you this closely, you just can't be worried about your dentures.
That's why I Fix-It-Dent and forget it.
Fix-It-Dent holds stronger than any other adhesive. It even stands up to the hottest liquids.
Taste it, Grandpa.
He never would have tried this with his old adhesive.
For the strongest hold you can get, Fix-It-Dent and forget it.
It may surprise you to learn who, over 30 years ago, was the first car maker to build cars with seat belts, to make safety glass standard, the first U.S. car maker to offer anti-lock brakes, and who today offers more models with dual airbags than any other manufacturer. That company is Ford Motor Company.
We're committed to making safety innovation an important part of quality.
Ford Motor Company. Quality is job one. It's working.
I think I'll make fresh dressing.
Good seasons?
Mm-hmm.
Which oil?
Pick a light one.
Dressing's great.
Good seasons, you make it fresh, you make it best.
If your doctor has recommended Metamucil and you like the results, but you don't like those glasses of thick liquid, change to FiberCon. Get the same fiber action in easy-to-swallow tablets. Get doctor-recommended FiberCon.
Our assignment, Earth Tonight. Sometimes people can love things just too much. Japanese, for example, are so fond of bluefish tuna, bluefin tuna, that the animals are being overfished to the point of extinction. A possible ban on bluefin fishing is being debated at an international convention in Japan. However, there seems to be no solution that will leave the Japanese or tuna fishermen very happy. NBC's Brad Willis is in Tokyo.
They're among the biggest and most beautiful animals on Earth. And unfortunately for the bluefin, they're also big business. Take this one tuna caught by an American fisherman. Quickly iced, boxed, and shipped to Japan. One fish sold at the Tokyo auction for $34,000. For the American middleman who put the deal together, a tidy profit.
20,000, baby. That's the top price of the year. God damn!
The Japanese buy most of the world's bluefin, 15,000 tons last year alone. Environmentalists say overfishing has wiped out 90% of adult bluefin in the western Atlantic.
If we don't do something quickly, the tuna will rapidly go commercially extinct. There won't be enough of them around for fishermen to go after them anymore.
But the idea of banning any part of the bluefin catch has Japanese fishermen in a rage. Hundreds have turned out to protest at the Endangered Species Convention in Kyoto.
It's beyond me how anyone could say tuna is on the verge of extinction. If there is a ban, we won't be able to continue living as fishermen.
Only 15% of the bluefin eaten here in Japan comes from the western Atlantic, but tuna is a traditional mainstay of the Japanese diet. And bluefin, it's like filet mignon. Just two little raw slices of bluefin tuna go for as much as $75. That's right, $75. The Japanese are serious about their sushi. Living with a little less bluefin seems horrifying.
If they ban bluefin, I don't think it's worth going on living.
That's the extreme view. But the issue of banning bluefin is clearly a conflict between the survival of a species and a way of life. Brad Willis, NBC News, Tokyo.
In Israel, he was the man who showed that Israel could make peace with an Arab enemy. Former Prime Minister Menachem Begin died after suffering a heart attack last week. He was 78 years old. Begin was buried in a part of Jerusalem captured by Israel in 1967. He had been in seclusion for a decade, scarred by Israel's invasion of Lebanon, in which hundreds of Israelis and thousands of Arabs were killed. In the 1940s, Begin was a militant leader of that uprising that created Israel, and for years he was a politician considered just to be an extremist. But in the 1970s, he was called a peacemaker for leading Israel to a treaty with Egypt. President Jimmy Carter called Begin a man of intense brilliance and unshakable convictions.
Of the storm, it's only natural to wonder where the future will lead. To people who worry about the winds of change today, we'd like to remind you that no adversity lasts forever. And we'll be there with the strength and resources you can count on. Because at Merrill Lynch, we're bullish on the future.
From the frigid North Atlantic to the treacherous waters off New Zealand, from oceans all over the world comes Red Lobster's World of Lobster. Now succulent rock lobster, petite deep sea lobster, sweet Maine lobster, in delicious combinations and at special prices you'll think the world of. Hurry in now, because this spectacular event ends soon. Red Lobster's World of Lobster.
Think about your daily dreams and what you would do if you won $1 million out of the blue. Miracles can happen for you. Publishers Clearinghouse, the heart
I use a shampoo for dandruff, but my scalp still itches like crazy.
You need new Scalpicin, the revolutionary scalp medicine for deep scalp itch, not ordinary dandruff. Scalpicin is not a shampoo. It's a clear liquid you don't wash away like shampoo. Apply Scalpicin anytime for deep scalp itch relief with medicine chosen by doctors over all these dandruff shampoo formulas. Scalpicin penetrates to relieve the itch and help prevent flaking.
The itch is gone.
New Scalpicin, the scalp medicine for deep scalp itch.
For communists, the old party bosses of the Soviet Union lived better than many capitalists in the West. We're just now beginning to get a peek at their secret, luxurious lifestyle. NBC's Bob Abernathy went to one of their favorite resort areas, the Crimea and the Black Sea, and look at what he found.
For 200 years, since Catherine the Great conquered the Crimea, the Black Sea has been Russia's playground. Mikhail Gorbachev had a place just up the coast, and it was there that he was held prisoner during last August's coup. Down this unmarked road, past the uniformed guard, the Central Committee of the Communist Party had its own special resort, Yuzhny. Party bosses rested here in Soviet-style luxury beyond the dreams of ordinary Russians. The suites are so big, the whole resort took only 120 guests. Everything is massive, overgrown, expensive, and all but lifeless. The diagnosis room in the enormous medical wing waits unused. No party boss ever lies here to have his teeth fixed. Nurses have little to do but demonstrate the water treatment the top communists used to like. There aren't many guests here these days, but it's interesting who they are. The communist bosses have been replaced by businessmen. Businessmen and their friends who don't have time for the 15 or 24-day treatments the old communists used to enjoy. A new class that seems both happy and bitter.
Very often we ask ourselves the question, why couldn't we do this before?
The director at Yuzhny wants a foreign partner to help run it, and the chief doctor thinks Western visitors would love his cures.
Everybody in the world will have longer life. Yes, after rest and treatment in our sanatorium.
But no one knows what will happen to this place and the individual luxury the world's top communists once created all for themselves. Bob Abernathy, NBC News, in the Crimea.
I think you'd want to know more about the details of that water treatment before you sign up. That's Nightly News for this Monday night. I'm Tom Brokaw. We'll see you tomorrow night.